Welcome to our deep dive. You've sent in some really intriguing excerpts from the Quran.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, chapter 49.
Okay.
It's called The Chambers, and it seems like you're really looking for some insights on how to build stronger communities, better relationships.
Yeah.
And we're seeing themes of interpersonal conduct, conflict resolution, like the importance of unity and respect, and even the essence of true belief.
Yeah, it's fascinating how this chapter lays out a blueprint for a just and compassionate society, and it touches on issues that are still so relevant today.
Right. From the first verse, we see this powerful emphasis on humility.
Yeah.
Recognizing a higher authority. It says, don't place your personal opinions above divine guidance.
Okay.
Emphasizes fearing God. So I'm curious about how this concept of fearing God has been interpreted within Islamic thought.
Yeah, well, it's not about terror or blind obedience. A lot of scholars interpret it as a deep reverence, an awareness of God's greatness, and a desire to align yourself with his will.
Okay.
It's about recognizing that there's a wisdom and a moral framework that extends beyond our limited human understanding.
So it's about acknowledging that we don't have all the answers.
Right.
And we approach life with a sense of humility.
Exactly.
And that humility is reflected in the practical advice on communication we see in verse 2.
Yes.
It cautions against raising our voices above the prophets and stresses the importance of aligning our actions with our faith.
Absolutely.
So this idea of not raising our voices, especially not above the prophets, makes me think about the importance of respectful dialogue, even when there's disagreement. And I wonder if this could be seen as a guide for navigating conflict.
Absolutely.
In a way that preserves relationships, promotes understanding.
It's about maintaining decorum and respect, even when passions run high. It's about recognizing that our words have power and that we should use them thoughtfully and carefully, especially when we're addressing those we revere.
This seems incredibly relevant in our modern world.
It really is, yeah.
When online interactions can quickly just devolve into shouting matches.
It reminds us that even in the digital age where anonymity can sometimes embolden us to be less mindful of our words, the principles of respectful communication still apply.
Right. And then in verse 6, we see a warning that feels almost eerily relevant to our current age of information overload, this danger of misinformation. It urges us to investigate news, not act hastily on unverified information.
Yes.
It's almost like this verse anticipated the rise of fake news and social media echo chambers.
It's remarkable how this verse speaks directly to a challenge that's become even more amplified in our digital age.
Yeah.
We're constantly bombarded with information from countless sources, and it's so easy to get swept up in the current of sensationalized headlines or unverified claims.
And it highlights not just the importance of critical thinking, fact-checking, but the potential harm that can come from spreading misinformation. It even mentions the regret that follows such actions.
It speaks to a deep psychological tendency, this desire to believe information that confirms our existing biases or reinforces our worldview, even if it's not accurate.
Yeah.
Historically, rumors and misinformation have played such a destructive role in societies. And this verse offers a timeless solution.
Yeah.
Pause, verify, consider the consequences before acting.
It's a reminder that our actions have consequences, not just for ourselves, but for others as well.
Exactly.
And this idea of responsibility towards the community, it leads us to verses 9 and 10, where the emphasis kind of shifts to unity and conflict resolution.
These verses call upon believers to reconcile their differences and to actively work towards peace.
And it's interesting how it doesn't simply advocate for a passive peace.
Right.
It's an active pursuit of justice.
You've hit upon a crucial balance here. It's not about avoiding conflict at all costs, but rather about addressing it in a way that upholds justice, protects the vulnerable.
Okay.
True peace is rooted in righteousness, and that sometimes requires taking a stand against injustice.
So while we should strive for reconciliation, we shouldn't be passive in the face of oppression.
Exactly. It's about actively creating a society where peace and justice are intertwined, where the rights of all are protected, and where differences are resolved through dialogue and understanding rather than violence or coercion.
It makes me think about the term like active peacemaking. Mm-hmm. What does that look like in practice?
Well,
how is it different from simply avoiding conflict?
So active peacemaking involves more than just the absence of violence.
Okay.
It requires a proactive effort to address the root causes of conflict.
Yeah.
To foster understanding between different groups. Mm-hmm. And to create systems and structures that promote justice and equality.
Okay.
We see examples of this throughout history.
Mm-hmm.
Individuals and movements who have worked tirelessly to dismantle oppressive systems, to build bridges between communities, to advocate for the rights of the marginalized.
So it's about creating a society where peace isn't just the absence of war,
right,
but the presence of justice.
Yes.
A commitment to the well-being of all members of the community.
Precisely. It's about building a society where differences are respected, where dialogue is encouraged, and where everyone feels a sense of belonging and security.
This emphasis on unity and respect for others, it seems to be a key theme.
It is.
Throughout this whole chapter.
It certainly is.
And it's beautifully articulated in verse 11, which directly addresses this issue of prejudice and harmful speech.
Yes.
It's striking how it explicitly prohibits ridiculing or slandering others, regardless of their gender or background.
Absolutely.
And it even challenges our assumptions about who is better in the eyes of God.
Right.
Reminding us that someone we might perceive as a lesser could actually hold a higher station.
It's a profound call for humility.
Yeah.
For recognizing our own limitations in judgment. We often form opinions based on superficial characteristics, but true worth lies in character and righteousness, as verse 13 emphasizes.
And that verse paints such a beautiful picture of humanity's origins, reminding us that we all stem from a single pair, common source.
Beautiful, yeah.
This diversity is presented not as a source of division, as a path towards understanding, enriching our experiences.
This vision of humanity as interconnected, originating from a single source, it challenges us to see beyond our differences and recognize the shared humanity that binds us together. It reminds us that our diversity is a strength, a source of learning and growth, and that it's through understanding and appreciating our differences that we can truly build a richer and more harmonious society.
It's about recognizing that our shared humanity transcends our differences.
Yes.
And those differences are meant to enrich our understanding of the world, not to create barriers between us.
Exactly. It's a powerful message of unity and inclusivity.
Yeah.
A reminder that building a better society requires us to embrace diversity, to recognize the inherent worth and dignity of every individual.
And this emphasis on unity and respect leads us to verse 12, which deals with the corrosive effects of suspicion and distrust.
This verse cautions against excessive suspicion, spying, and backbiting.
Okay.
And it's fascinating how it uses such a vivid and unsettling image.
Yeah.
Comparing backbiting to eating the flesh of your dead brother.
Oh, wow.
It really gets to the heart of how destructive these behaviors can be to relationships and communities.
That image is certainly hard-hitting.
It is.
And it makes you really think about the damage that suspicion and gossip can inflict.
Absolutely. Suspicion creates a toxic atmosphere. It erodes trust.
Yeah.
And ultimately undermines the very fabric of a community. This verse challenges us to cultivate a more trusting and generous mindset.
Okay.
To give others the benefit of the doubt. And to resist the temptation to engage in harmful gossip or speculation.
It makes me wonder about the psychological impact of constantly living in a state of suspicion.
Right.
It must create a lot of anxiety and negativity.
It certainly does.
Both for the individual and for the community as a whole.
When we're constantly on guard, constantly questioning the motives of others, we create a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
We project our own anxieties and insecurities onto the world around us.
Yeah.
And that can lead to a breakdown in communication, cooperation, and trust.
So this verse is not just about avoiding specific behaviors, but about cultivating a more positive and trusting worldview.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that fostering trust is essential for building strong and healthy relationships, both on an individual level and on a societal level.
Yeah.
It's about choosing to believe the best in others. Rather than assuming the worst.
Okay.
And it's about creating a space where open and honest communication can flourish.
It seems like this chapter keeps circling back to the importance of cultivating certain inner qualities as like the foundation for a just and compassionate society.
You're absolutely right. And it's not just about external actions, but also about aligning our inner beliefs with our outward behavior.
Okay.
And that brings us to verses 14 and 15, where the chapter delves into the essence of true belief.
Okay.
Contrasting mere submission with genuine faith.
It seems to be saying that some believers, they don't just passively accept their faith.
Right.
They actively live it out.
Yeah.
It's not just about saying you believe, but about demonstrating that belief through your actions.
Precisely. True faith is a dynamic force that inspires action, commitment, and a willingness to strive in the path of God.
Okay.
It's about aligning our actions with our values and dedicating our resources, both material and personal, to uphold the principles we believe in.
It makes me think about the different ways people might approach their faith. For some, it might be primarily about ritual observance.
Yeah.
While for others, it's about actively working to make the world a better place.
That's a really insightful observation.
Okay.
The chapter seems to be encouraging a more holistic understanding of faith.
Yeah.
One that encompasses both inner devotion and outward action. It's about integrating our beliefs into every aspect of our lives and striving to embody those beliefs in our interactions with others and in the way we engage with the world around us.
This idea of faith as an active force really resonated with me.
Yep.
It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that simply believing is enough.
Right.
But this chapter, it challenges us to go beyond that and truly live our faith.
I agree. It's a call to move beyond complacency.
Okay.
And to embrace a more engaged and purposeful way of living.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing that our faith has implications.
Yeah.
For how we treat others, how we conduct ourselves in society, and how we contribute to the well-being of our communities.
And then in verse 16, there's this intriguing shift in tone. It almost feels playful, even ironic, in the way it challenges those who might presume to teach God about their religion.
It's a powerful rhetorical move, isn't it?
Yeah.
It uses humor and irony to subtly remind readers of God's all-encompassing knowledge and the limitations of human understanding.
It's like saying, who are we to try and explain something to the one who knows everything?
Exactly. It's a gentle but firm reminder of our place in the grand scheme of things. We are finite beings with limited knowledge and understanding, while God is infinite and all-knowing.
It's a call for humility, for recognizing that we don't have all the answers, for approaching matters of faith with a sense of awe and reverence.
Absolutely. And this emphasis on humility leads into verse 17.
Okay.
Which presents this idea of submission to God, not as a burden, but as a favor, a gift.
That's an interesting way to frame it.
Yeah.
It shifts the perspective from obligation to gratitude. So instead of seeing submission as something we're forced to do, we're encouraged to view it as a blessing, as a path toward guidance and truth.
Yes. It's a reminder that by submitting to a higher moral authority, we're not limiting ourselves, but rather opening ourselves up to a greater purpose and a more fulfilling way of life.
It seems that throughout this chapter, there's a recurring theme of finding freedom and liberation through submission.
Yeah.
Whether it's submitting to divine guidance, to the principles of justice and compassion, or to the importance of unity and respect for others.
That's a profound insight.
Yeah.
It challenges this common misconception that submission equates to oppression or a loss of freedom.
Yeah.
Instead, the chapter suggests that true freedom lies in aligning ourselves with a higher purpose, in recognizing that we're part of something larger than ourselves, and in submitting to a moral code that transcends our individual desires and ego.
And then the chapter concludes with verse 18, a poignant reminder of God's constant presence and awareness.
A beautiful way to end the chapter, isn't it?
Yeah.
It leaves the reader with a sense of accountability, knowing that our actions, even our innermost thoughts, are known to God.
It's a powerful encouragement to live with integrity and sincerity, knowing that we are always in the presence of the divine.
Right.
It's a reminder that our choices matter.
Yeah.
That we should strive to live in a way that reflects our highest values and aspirations.
It reminds me of the saying, live as if you were to die tomorrow. Learn as if you were to live forever. This verse encourages us to approach each moment with intentionality, with awareness, and with a deep commitment to living a life of meaning and purpose.
So looking back at the chapter as a whole, what are like the key takeaways that stand out to you?
For me, it's this emphasis on building a society based on respect, understanding, and justice, both on an individual and a collective level.
Okay.
These verses offer practical guidance on how to interact with one another, how to resolve conflicts peacefully, and how to cultivate the inner qualities that lead to a more harmonious and fulfilling life.
It does feel like a blueprint for building a better world, a world that is not just free from conflict, but is also characterized by compassion, empathy, and a deep commitment to justice and equality.
And what's truly remarkable is how relevant these teachings remain today. They speak directly to the challenges we face in the 21st century. Misinformation, prejudice, conflict, and the struggle to build a more just and equitable society.
It's like these verses offer a timeless wisdom that transcends cultural and historical boundaries. It's speaking to the very core of what it means to be human and to live in community with one another.
Exactly. And they remind us that building a better world starts with each of us. It's about cultivating inner virtues like humility, compassion, and integrity. And then letting those virtues guide our actions in the world.
It's about recognizing our shared humanity, embracing diversity, working together to create a society that reflects the values of justice, peace, and understanding.
Beautifully said. And that's both a challenge and an incredible opportunity for each of us to make a positive impact on the world around us.
This deep dive has been so insightful.
Yeah, it's been great.
I'm particularly struck by how this chapter emphasizes the importance of not just believing in something, but also putting those beliefs into action.
Yes.
Both in our interactions with others and in our own inner lives.
That's a crucial point.
Yeah.
True faith isn't passive.
Okay.
It's a dynamic force that should inspire us to live differently.
Okay.
To make a difference in the world and to align our actions with our values.
It's about striving to embody the principles we profess to believe in.
Yes.
Both in our outward behavior and in our inward thoughts and intentions.
Absolutely. And that can sometimes be challenging.
Yeah.
Even uncomfortable. But it's in those moments of challenge that our faith is truly tested and refined.
It's about making conscious choices.
Right.
To act with integrity, even when it's difficult, even when no one is watching.
Precisely. And that commitment to living our values, to embodying the principles of justice and compassion is what ultimately contributes to building a better society.
It's about recognizing that our actions, no matter how small they may seem, have a ripple effect on the world around us.
Absolutely. And even in the face of challenges.
Yeah.
We have the power to choose hope over despair, to choose love over hate, to choose to build bridges instead of walls.
Oh, those are powerful choices. And they remind me of something you said earlier about the importance of cultivating inner peace and understanding as the foundation for building a more peaceful world.
Yes, that's a key point. Yeah. Our outward actions are often a reflection of our inner state. If we harbor resentment, anger, or prejudice within ourselves, those feelings will inevitably manifest in our interactions with others.
So if we want to create a more peaceful and just world, we need to start by cultivating those qualities within ourselves.
Exactly. It's about practicing forgiveness, cultivating empathy, and challenging our own biases.
It's about doing the inner work that allows us to see the world. And those around us with more compassion and understanding.
Beautifully said. And that inner transformation is an ongoing process. A lifelong journey. But it's a journey worth taking. Because ultimately, the peace we seek in the world starts with the peace we cultivate within ourselves.
That's a powerful thought. And it makes me wonder how we can apply these principles, not just to our interactions with others, but also to our own thoughts and judgments.
That's a great question. And it brings us to a crucial aspect of personal growth.
Okay.
We often focus on our outward actions, But our inner world, our thoughts and our perceptions play a significant role in shaping our reality.
So you're saying if we want to build a better world, we need to start by
examining our own
inner landscape.
Precisely. It's about becoming aware of our own biases, our prejudices, and the ways in which we might be judging others unfairly. It's about challenging those negative thought patterns. And replacing them with more compassionate and understanding ones.
So it's not just about acting justly towards others, but also thinking justly about them.
Exactly. It's about cultivating an inner sense of fairness, of recognizing the inherent worth and dignity of every human being, regardless of their background, their beliefs, or their actions.
That's a challenging but also an incredibly inspiring idea. It suggests that true social change starts with
It does.
inner transformation.
And it's a reminder that we all have the capacity for growth, for change, for becoming more compassionate and understanding individuals.
It's a message of hope, isn't it?
It is.
That by working on ourselves, by cultivating inner peace and understanding, we can contribute to creating a more peaceful and just world.
It is. And it's a reminder that the journey towards a better world starts within each of us.
And that journey, as you said, is a lifelong one.
It is. And it's a journey filled with challenges, but also with incredible opportunities for growth and transformation.
And it's a journey we don't have to take alone. We can support one another, encourage one another, and learn from one another's experiences.
Absolutely. And in that sense, building a better world is a collective effort, a journey we undertake together.
It's about recognizing that we're all interconnected. That our actions and choices impact one another. And that by working together, we can create a world that is more compassionate, more peaceful for everyone.
Beautifully said. And that brings us to the end of our deep dive into chapter 49 of the Quran.
This has been such a rich and insightful exploration.
It's been a pleasure.
I'm really grateful for your insights.
Thank you.
And for helping us unpack these profound teachings.
I always find it incredibly rewarding to delve into these texts and discover the timeless wisdom they offer.
And I know our listener is going to walk away from this deep dive.
I hope so.
With a lot to think about. Even more to apply in their own life.
Because ultimately, the true value of these teachings lies not just in understanding them, but in living them out and embodying them in our daily interactions and choices.
It's about taking these principles from the page to the pavement, from our minds to our hearts, and from our hearts to the world.
Beautifully said. And that's a challenge, but also an incredible opportunity for each of us to make a positive impact on the world around us.
And that brings us back to you, our listener. You shared chapter 49 with us. It seems like you're looking for guidance on building stronger communities and relationships. And I think this chapter, it offers a wealth of insights in terms of how we interact with others, but also how we cultivate our inner world.
It's fascinating how the chapter weaves these two aspects together, emphasizing that our outward actions are often a reflection of our inner state.
Right. So it's not just about following a set of rules or performing rituals. It's about cultivating a certain mindset, a way of seeing the world, interacting with others that's rooted in compassion, understanding, and justice.
Exactly. And this is where I think the chapter's emphasis on avoiding suspicion and backbiting becomes particularly relevant. It's not just about refraining from gossip or slander, but about cultivating a more trusting and generous attitude towards others.
It's like those verses are encouraging us to do some internal housekeeping. To examine our own tendencies towards judgment, suspicion, to challenge those patterns.
Absolutely. It's about recognizing that we don't always have the full picture, that everyone is on their own journey, and that judging others harshly only creates more division and negativity. It's a call to practice empathy. To give others the benefit of the doubt. And to cultivate a more positive and trusting worldview.
And it makes me think about that powerful verse where it says, "No people shall ridicule other people, for they may be better than they." That could apply to our inner judgments as well, right? Absolutely.
We might think we're better than someone, but we don't truly know their heart or their potential.
That's a profound point. It challenges us to question our assumptions and to approach others with a sense of humility and openness, recognizing that we all have our strengths and weaknesses, and that appearances can be deceiving.
So it's about cultivating that inner sense of humility, recognizing our own limitations, approaching others with curiosity rather than judgment.
Precisely. Humility is essential for both inner and outer peace. It allows us to let go of the need to be right, to be superior, and instead to focus on understanding, on connection, on building bridges.
And that brings us back to the concept of unity and brotherhood that's kind of woven throughout this chapter. If we're constantly judging and separating ourselves from others, we can't truly experience that sense of belonging, that shared purpose.
That's so true. And it raises the question
of how we can cultivate that inner sense of unity, that recognition of our shared humanity, even when faced with differences and disagreements.
It almost feels like we need to practice a kind of internal diplomacy, right?
Yeah, I'd like
to be able to hold multiple perspectives, to engage in constructive self-reflection.
Yes.
Challenge our own assumptions and biases.
Exactly. It's about creating a space within ourselves for compassion and understanding. Even for those we might not fully agree with or understand. It's about extending that same grace and mercy to ourselves that we hope to receive from others and from God.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
Thank you.
It suggests that working towards building a better society starts with cultivating those qualities within ourselves.
It does. And it's a reminder that this is an ongoing process, a lifelong journey of self-awareness, self-reflection, and self-correction. It's about applying those principles of conflict resolution and reconciliation, not just to our external relationships, but also to our own inner world.
It's like we're being challenged to be the change we wish to see in the world. Starting with our own inner transformation.
Absolutely. And it's a powerful reminder that building a better world is not just about grand gestures or sweeping social reforms, but about the daily choices we make, the thoughts we entertain, the words we speak, and the actions we take.
It's about living our values, embodying our principles, striving to be the best versions of ourselves, both inwardly and outwardly.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So as we wrap up this deep dive into chapter 49 of the Quran, I'd like to leave our listener with a challenge. To cultivate inner peace and understanding as the foundation for building a more peaceful world.
That's a powerful challenge. And one that resonates deeply with the teachings of this chapter. It's a reminder that the journey towards a better world starts within each of us.
It does, and it's a journey worth taking. It's one step at a time, one thought at a time, one action at a time.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you found it insightful and inspiring. And remember, the quest for knowledge is a lifelong journey.
Absolutely.
So keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep striving to make the world a better place.
Until next time, keep diving deep.